Hi everybody, this is Chad the Gaming Dad here on Dad's Games, and today we're going to be taking a look at some of the stuff that I grabbed at the Retrofest here in Canton, Ohio last weekend on Saturday. Alright, so here we go. I'm telling you, man, it was a great Retrofest, and a lot of thanks to Chris for throwing this thing. I mean, this is the second year in a row that he's had this, and we'll catch up with him in just a minute. But first, I wanted to go ahead and show you guys some of the stuff that I got. Now, when you go to one of these retro gaming conventions or something, you better be ready when you come home to break out all your different systems and get them cleaned and get them ready to play, because you're going to want to test out all the stuff that you bought and make sure that everything's working good. Let's start with the one that I got that isn't really the best. Here it is. It's Hard Vendetta.
John, what the hell are you doing here? Oh shit.
John, you there? Nah, I'm okay. Looks like I'm on my own again.
I don't know what to tell you about Hard Vendetta, except for that I'm a sucker for games that are based off of movies, TV shows, things like that, because as you all know, most of the games that are based off of TV shows and movies aren't necessarily that good, but for some reason I like checking out these things just to see what exactly they're like, whether they're really that bad or whether they're okay. So Hard Vendetta, haven't really been able to wrap my head around that one yet. It's okay, but man, is it way before its time as far as the dual stick aiming on the GameCube. Pretty tough at first to get used to. So let's save this for last. I got a bunch of Atari stuff. So let's go to the next worst game. Here on my Super Nintendo, it's the one and only Shaq Fu. Yeah, good old Shaq Fu. I never had Shaq Fu, so this is actually not a great game, but one that it wasn't very much money and something funny, and maybe one of these days I'll make a video about Shaq Fu or something like that. That'd be kind of cool. Alright, that leads us right down here to the NES. The NES, I actually found 3 of them that are actually pretty decent. The one that's probably not as great as the other 2 is an icon from the 80s. I bought it simply because it was an icon from the 80s. It's one of those things that when you see it, it just screams out 80s to you, and that's Bigfoot. Bigfoot and monster trucks, man, those things came into fashion, got real popular in the 80s, and when I was a kid, Bigfoot was like the only monster truck that mattered until, years and years down the line, some other big ones came along, but Bigfoot was the man. So I grabbed that one. Then we got 2 other ones here. Start off with this. I've seen this out at the flea market, and I've seen it around, and I saw some videos on it, and initially I thought it was like some kind of a Mega Man thing, but it's not. It's GMan. GMan is kind of a platformer shooter. Again, I may do a video on this one of these days. Pretty cool game. These things are not that uncommon, and they aren't that expensive, but here's one I haven't really seen very often, and I loved the first one, just like most people did, so I had to grab Skate or Die 2. Skate or Die 2. I haven't played very much of this yet. I did test it out and it works. All these games actually work, which is so nice. When you get home from a convention, you just hope that everything works, because if something doesn't, that's a huge bummer. But it works. But I'm going to play a little bit of this for you here. It's got the best intro music. Skate, skate, or die, 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 die. Die, 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 skate or die. It's crazy. Alright, so that leads me to the mother load here of Atari games. Again, if you guys have been watching me for any length of time, you'll know that I've been grabbing Atari games because this is my new thing to collect for, seeing as how I didn't have very many Atari games before. I didn't have one when I was a kid growing up, and it's still one of the few systems that you can collect for where the games are pretty cheap. So let's take a look at what I got. I got a couple of bundle deals, and there's one game in here that's actually a pretty expensive game as far as Atari goes, and I'm glad that I got it because, well, the shirt will give you a hint. So let's start off with these other ones I got here. First off, is Q-Bert. And then another one from the Parker Brothers family, it's Popeye. Those games pretty much are self-explanatory. Everybody knows Popeye and Q-Bert. Then I found some other ones here. Sprint Master. Sprint Master is another one of these little race car games. It does not use paddles. It does use just a regular controller, and it is kind of hard to steer. We got another one here called Crossbow. Crossbow initially was a light gun shooter in the arcades, and so imagine how this works. You're using a light gun game, but I'm using my Sega Genesis controller to play my Atari games. You have to move a cursor across the screen to shoot objects away from a guy who's walking slowly across, and you have to try to save him by shooting the stuff out of the way before it kills him. So, okay, Crossbow. Then we have one here called Encounter at L5. Now this one's unique because this one to me is sort of a mix between Space Invaders and Missile Command, because you do have to use the paddles for this, and you have a dot at the top of the screen and then your guy at the bottom. When you're shooting, you're not moving, so you hold the button down to move, then you let go, or you hit the button, which way it was, I forget. When you're shooting, you move the thing at the top, and your gun kind of angles like this as you're shooting. Something different, something pretty cool, and I'm glad I picked that one up. Then we got another Atari game here called Spider Fighter. Another one of these great Activision games from back in the day. Spider Fighter is another sort of clone of many different games. I mean, there were so many of them that were like Space Invaders. There are things falling down and you shoot them. That's how that goes, except this time you're protecting some fruit and vegetables from the evil spiders and insects that are trying to eat your crops. So then we lead my next game here leads us to Phoenix. Phoenix is very good. This one is a cross between like Demon Attack and Yar's Revenge, because you start off by shooting all these little aliens that are coming down, and then they turn into birds. You could shoot the wings off the birds, but you have to hit them right in the middle, like right in the middle to get them to blow up. But the Yar's Revenge part of it is after you do a few stages of these birds and stuff, then you get to a spaceship that you have to chip away by shooting at it and chipping and chipping and chipping until you can shoot right into the middle, sort of Yar's Revenge style. Okay. Then I picked up, and I dropped, and then I picked up again, Star Trek. That's right, Star Trek. What is this, Strategic Operations Simulator? For the good old 2600. This one's pretty fun because it's got sort of a first-person view down in the bottom and then kind of a map up above. So you steer the Enterprise through the map, but on the bottom you're seeing the first-person view of the ship. So you're cruising through and you see little dots that indicate that there's some Klingons or something there, and then when you get close down at the bottom you'll see the Klingon ship come in, boom, blast them. It's a lot of fun. And then lastly, this is the one I was talking about that I got a good deal on, packaged it in with a bunch of these other ones. This is Star Wars, the arcade game for Atari. This is basically the Atari version of the game that they had in the arcades, hence the name the arcade game, where they had the vector graphics and you had to shoot, fly sideways, go like this, boom, 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 and you shoot all the TIE fighters, make it to the Death Star, and eventually blow up the Death Star. So, being a huge Star Wars fan, I have almost all of the Star Wars Atari 2600 games. I think the last one I need to get is Return of the Jedi. I even have the Jedi Power thing, the Jedi Battles. That one's not that great. I have that one. I have Empire. I now have this one. One more to go. We'll find that. So that's all I got for pickups and everything. But let me go ahead and take you now to a quick interview that I did with Chris, the guy who put on Retrofest in Canton. So anyway, let's go ahead and take a look and see what Chris has to say.
Hi everybody, this is Chad the Gaming Dad with you here, and with me now I have Chris, and he is the guy who's in charge of this whole thing here at the Canton Retrofest. So first off, thanks for doing this because I didn't have to drive 2 hours to get here, which was really nice.
Glad to have you.
Okay. And so how did this whole thing come about? What did you have to do? I mean, what kind of hoops do you have to jump through to get something like this going?
The hardest part was really trying to find a location that was best suited for centralized for everybody, that would help everybody out to find it. Second part was really tough, was getting vendors to get on board. Getting a first show is real tough because vendors understand it's not a lot of people are going to come. And as it grows the second time, I tripled my vendors. I tripled my attendance. It was amazing, and I can only imagine what the next one's going to entail.
So this is your second one?
This is the second one, yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Where was the first one at? Was it here too?
It was here also, yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then you were planning a third one, right?
Yes. We're going to do another one in October, probably the first or second week in October. Definitely a bigger location because we've kind of outgrown this. We're looking at probably a big hall, and hopefully we can double or triple the vendors there as well.
Okay, yeah, I found a bunch of good stuff today, and a lot of good vendors, a lot of good games, good deals, and I thought there was a pretty good turnout. I mean, were you happy with everybody that came out?
Oh, absolutely awesome amount of people here. I mean, I tripled the amount of people we had last time, and everybody seemed to have a great time, and everybody got a lot of good items, so can't beat that.
Yeah. So there you go, everybody. Pretty soon, Canton, Ohio is not going to be known for the Pro Football Hall of Fame anymore. It's going to be Retrofest. Everybody's going to be the destination right here for video games.
Sounds
right?
Good. Sounds great. Love it. It'd be awesome, man.
Yeah, me too. I mean, because I don't have to drive. I'm local here too, so it's always nice to have a local show.
2 minutes away, so.
Yeah, and I live about 5 minutes, so we're right in the same neighborhood there.
Yep.
I don't know, anything else you want to tell everybody about, or do you have a website or something like that where they can watch out for the next video, or I mean the next convention and all that?
The next convention, we're on Facebook on the Retrofest. Shoot me an invite. I'd love to have you. If you want to be a vendor, let me know. I'll work out a good deal for you. We do love to have Extra Life come back and support the charity for Akron Children's Hospital. Mm-hmm. And kids are 10 and under are free. And we'll have more gaming tournaments. The next event we'll probably have Magic included, board games, comic books, and collectibles. So you name it, we'll have it.
Yeah, all the stuff that we're into, guys. Everything you like is going to be here. So if you're around Canton, take a look. Go on Facebook and look for Retrofest and come out to the next one if you missed the one today. If you don't live around here, keep an eye open because there aren't just these big mega, packs and stuff like that. There's a lot of local conventions that you should hit up too, where you can find a lot of good stuff and meet a lot of people that might live near you, so that you don't have to just sit there and play alone all the time.
Exactly.
There's a lot of us out there. It doesn't feel like it sometimes when you're sitting by yourself, but believe me, if you go out to these conventions, you're going to meet a lot of people. So
exactly.
All right. Well, thanks a lot.
Thank you for having me. Man. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Okay, everybody, so that's everything I got for you from Retrofest. Well, not everything. There is going to be one more video after this. I wanted to break it separate from this video because I did a nice, little bit longer interview with the people from Extra Life. Extra Life is a charity organization where you sign up and get donations based on how long or which kind of games you play, and you can raise money for kids, and the money goes to children's hospitals for kids that are sick. I mean, you hate to think about it, but even little kids can have problems where they may have to go to the hospital. Even my own daughter had to go there for a simple procedure. Wasn't anything major, but man, having those people there to take care of the kids and give them a little stuffed animal and things like that was really great. So check out that video next. I'm going to go ahead and break that off and make it a separate video. But for this episode, that's what we've got. So until next time, remember, you never outgrow video games. My name's Chad the Gaming Dad, and this is Dad's Games. Just like always, thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you on the next one. So long, everybody.